Good morrow, Ashers! Most MMOs have done away with the inconvenient mechanics of open world PvP, dropping your loot, and all kinds of risk involved while playing the game. As a result, the rewards and gameplay feel grindy, unrewarding, and sometimes even empty. This will not be the case in Ashes of Creation. I want to briefly explore this aspect on today's video and continue my series on the design pillars of Ashes of Creation. There are many reasons, both direct and indirect, that benefit a game greatly by having some kind of risk versus reward inherently built in. By being under threat in some form, players are more likely to be engaged by the combat and play with purpose rather than mindlessly farming and kind of disconnecting from what they're doing. The game feels more satisfying to players when a risky venture pays off, turning an otherwise menial task into something exciting and immersive. Investment into a task or a thing like a node creates a sense of accomplishment and pride in which the players can then potentially create meaningful conflict. These could be between factions or players directly because they are not willing to lose that time and investment spent while playing the game. Dying to a mob will even drop your stuff, as in the farmable materials, encouraging players to improve and better themselves, which is something very few games incentivize properly, especially when the content is too easy. Kills 2, where you just play everything's easy, community, casual. And finally, you can never truly complete content if the variation in the gameplay comes from other players, comes from the risk that other things provide to the game. So this all adds up to more replayability for the game itself, which is an amazing concept and something that many games, and I mean all of them, do not pull off very well. The replayability factor in an MMO is probably the most important thing that is in the background and not something that you directly interact with. Let's take a look at the primary factors and methods that Intrepid plans to introduce to Ashes of Creation to add this important element to the game. There are three primary ones. These are open world PvP, economy, and large-scale combat like node sieges. While these are seemingly simplistic, they're actually really far-reaching, with many of the systems in the game interacting with it directly. For example, dying in the open world will drop a portion of your farmed materials. Players that look to PvP in the open world will attempt to take your craftable materials from you to make a profit. Those PvPers in turn become corrupted and are subject to getting bounty hunted, where they could potentially lose their gear, loot, and pretty much everything they stole from you. Since the system is in no way opt-out at all, everyone is at risk in some way, but at the same time, pulling off any of these things could potentially yield significant rewards to players. While this is very likely to cause frustration among the more solo or less aggressive players of the community, I'd like to encourage everyone to just enjoy their time in the game. Do not get frustrated at these sorts of behaviors. It is part of the game and it adds a lot of depth to it. So please, do not petition these changes. They are perfectly fine as is. You are more than likely going to have a great experience, or a better experience at the very least, if you just accept open world PvP and the potential to drop your farmed materials or loot if you're actually flagged as a corrupted player. Tying directly into the open world PvP, an economic factor which is also going to be important is that materials and general things and rewards and goods have different values based on where you sell them, on nodes specifically. Moving your goods between nodes could potentially give you amazing amounts of rewards for the time you spend, but there is obviously risk involved because if you die on the way there, whether you take them manually yourself as in carry them in your own inventory, or use the built-in caravan system to transport them, you're at risk of losing these materials. But the rewards are also there. So a very good, once again, risk and reward trade-off, an important factor. Even declaring a siege in the larger scale of combat has serious risk involved. The investment required to start a siege will be massive. Many players will all be investing large amounts of quantities to start a siege process. If the siege is a success, they stand a chance to benefit greatly from it, because a competing node is no longer able to outgrow them. You could potentially get loot directly from that siege, and if it fails, you have wasted a lot of time and resources as a result. Playing into the whole concept once again, just like the others. In summary, while risk versus reward isn't something that a lot of players think or even talk about at all, I find it to be one of the most important parts of any game I play, especially the long-term game. Ashes has to get this right to feel rewarding and have longevity, for players to feel invested in the game or anything they create, whether it be nodes, homesteads of any kind, or any kind of gameplay, whether it be PvP or PvE. There has to be risk, and that risk has to have a potential reward involved. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. It has been an awesome week for me. I have pretty much set up my new editing software and everything, which is why this video looks a little bit different. Remember to subscribe and share with the video if you liked it and your friends are excited about the game. Even if they don't know about it, maybe just share it with them. Create some excitement. Have a great week, and may Ashes of Creation be amazing.